And yet, despite the fact that we've now essentially clinically tested the vaccine on billions of people worldwide, around 1 in 5 Americans is still willing to put themselves at risk and put their families at risk rather than get vaccinated. People are dying because of misinformation.
So I wanted to start out that way with good old Obama, right? Because, well, I think he sucks, and I think most people would agree. And it's just funny how he can openly state on stage that they just experimented on human beings to the tune of billions of them, and a lot of people just lined up for their experimental jab. And so it's with great pleasure that I announce that the Obama's Spotify deal was not renewed. They've essentially been canceled from Spotify. Not Joe Rogan, though.
Yeah, how's Joe doing?
Joe's doing great. Yeah. Joe Rogan. Joe Biden.
Not Joe Biden, no.
he's a different
Joe Robin Biden's not doing good.
So before we get into our topics for today, we're going to just, right here, we got Luke Rudkowski saying, is today some kind of corporate media day of reckoning? I mean, I always believed in some form of karma. I'm sure he meant karma. But wow, this has all just happened. Netflix stock plunged 35%. First of all, Netflix stock plunged way more, and I believe that they're expecting more than 2 million in losses from their subs.
Well, did you hear what they're expecting? What they want to do is now add commercials to their viewing. Yeah, that's going to help out a whole bunch.
That's how you stop watching on Netflix.
Yeah, exactly.
CNN Plus was a...
I'm sorry, who?
Was a complete... If you probably don't even know about them, but they were a complete disaster, and they have shut down.
They spent $300 million to suck.
Yep. And you know who else sucks? Disney.
Oh.
But normally it's, kids.
The wide woke
world
of Disney.
But this time they're sucking off the power teat of government, and they're losing all their special status.
I got to give a little tip of the hat to the Florida Congressional Assembly for dropping the hammer on these assholes. Because now you got to pay taxes, fools.
So it doesn't go into effect till 2023,
Correct,
though.
Yeah.
So it could just be posturing.
Yeah, if the House changes and the governor changes, of course, then they can do what they want. But for now, they're looking at like $300 million in taxes that they'll have to pay out next year.
Yeah. So anyway, that's how we wanted to start the show, but we're not really going to go into detail on those. Today we're going to talk about immigration. We're going to talk about U.S. spending and some changes in the currency that are on the horizon.
And our boy.
Wait. And
our boy.
Gonzalo Lira. He is alive and well. We're going to show you a little update. We're going to talk about the establishment politics war against the popular politics. I don't know if that's the best way to explain it.
That's actually a really good way to explain it. The populist candidates are getting railroaded right now.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, if you're looking at a candidate that actually has the support of the people and they're doing what their constituents want, you're watching them get just attacked from all sides by the establishment. And it doesn't matter left or right.
And their party.
Oh, yeah.
You got to stand tall in front of your party and explain yourself now.
Yeah, and then the most important thing, and we've covered this several times, but now some new information has come to light. And
you want to say it got hot?
It got hot. The food shortage is getting hot, and there's a reason why. So starting us out, I think, Doc, you were going to start us out with immigration. So what do you got for us?
So the March numbers for immigration came out. CBP put out that they had 221,000 encounters, which is far surpassing their previous year's numbers. And the problem is they're so overwhelmed that Border and Protection only has one option, and that is to dump them out into the center of the United States to Are we all right?
Yeah, we're good.
Oh, okay.
All right, hold on. Kevin, you need me to raise some volume?
Kevin, are we too quiet?
God.
All right, we'll turn it up to 11.
Well, I don't know. We clip pretty hard when we do that. We sound so loud on our end. Look, we're jumping on and off over and over again. All right. We're getting louder. Do we sound good or bad?
I'm not clipping. You clipping?
Well, you're gonna clip because you always get close
I get
to your
excited.
mic.
So 221,303 encounters along the southwestern border last March was almost 35% increase compared to February, and over 30% involved individuals had at least one prior encounter in the last 12 months. That means these people have tried numerous times to get across the border illegally through Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, and California. What happens? There's too many people to process it and get into the system to start their immigration process. So what is happening now is they're being put on buses. I know Greg Abbott, he did what he was, said he was going to do. Is a little conjecturing and a little political theater. He's taken a few buses of people willing to go to D.C. I got to tell you, the D.C. people, when they were interviewed, were not happy with a bunch of illegals coming into their neighborhood.
What?
Weird. So they're being dumped into, they're being flown to Westover in our area into Massachusetts. So we're going to see that increase in people who don't speak our language, who don't have skills other than manual labor, and that's going to reap dividends for anybody in the area. And I'm sure they're being flown out to California, up into the Northwest, and everything like that. I don't see the good outcome because they're not taxpayers. They might get a TIN, a tax identifying number, but they're not going to be able to vote. They're not going to be able to do certain things. Now, of course, their next progeny, when they're born here, will be allowed to do that. And I think the Democrats want to push that, hey, we let you come across, now you're kind of beholden to us. I think you should vote for us from now on, huh? What do you think, Alex?
I think they're just bringing in easy votes, and
they're not voters that are coming in. It's the next generation.
No, but it doesn't matter because they're counting them in the census, so they're actually adding electorates.
So you're correct because you'll get an extra representative out of it.
Yeah, you look at California, and they have so many illegals, and they can't vote. Actually, I think in New York they actually made it so they can vote in municipalities
as long as they have a driver's ID.
Yeah, which is really effed up.
There's part of me that agrees to that because you are in that neighborhood. You know what I mean? You're part of that community. You should have a little bit. But
are you here illegally?
Right, and but there's part of me that says the libertarian in me is like, they're here. If they're productive and they're committed to the organization of the community, maybe they should be allowed to have a little leeway. But for the most part, absolutely not.
I mean, I would say the argument on that I would support that is if we expanded immigration services so that we had more people, so that we could process people in a timely manner, so that there was less of a backlog, which would allow people that want to come here legally to immigrate and assimilate and be vetted and then contribute and then be allowed to vote. I disagree, even though I'm not a big fan of government programs at all. I disagree with the idea of just allowing illegal immigrants to come here and vote because you don't know who you're getting.
Correct.
And you don't know, they might not be here with the intention of helping this country grow and succeed.
Or building a family, bettering themselves, helping the community, and bringing their culture with us and enriching us.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things that has we've seen with the increase over the last month through March with that huge 220,000 was encounters of unaccompanied children. So children just walking across the border, and that means they're under 18. 18% increase of 14,167 encounters in March compared to just under 12,000 in February. So the numbers are starting to skyrocket and get out of control. And once we relieve, is it Title 42?
Yeah.
Which has a lot to do with COVID policy and everything. And even Alejandro Mayorkas, the Secretary of, what was he, Homeland Security, he's even off the record as saying like this is going to be bad.
Yeah. Well, I think almost everything that has been created that stems around COVID is complete shit because it's all done irrationally.
Correct.
Quickly and without a lot of insight. Essentially, they were like, what do we do? We're going to lock down. That won't have any detrimental effect. Oh, no, it had a detrimental effect. What do we do? Let's throw money at people. That won't have a detrimental effect. Oh, no, now our money's super, inflated, and we're just printing it out like crazy. Now what do?
We whip them with horse reins.
We go to war.
Yeah, right. We'll distract everyone.
So I mean, that's the way that it seems. It seems like everything is a reaction. No one's being proactive. Our government is just it's run by a bunch of morons.
Criminals.
Well, yeah, they're criminals. If anything, the only thing that they're smart about is being a criminal, because they do it's either they're intelligent criminals that do a good job convincing you they're dumb, or they're really dumb and they just have gotten lucky.
Well, I mean, if we listen to what AOC said yesterday, is like she was saying January 6th was just the warm-up act.
To what?
To if the elections don't go the way of the opposition, that January 6th was just the prelude to the opening act of. I can't follow that woman.
Well, it sounds to me like she's just trying to stoke fear.
That's, yeah, and of course. And if she would just make a coffee and be real civil, we could all get along.
Make you a coffee or make herself?
Well,
what are you trying to say? Right?
I like coffee. She's
like,
a barista.
Oh yeah,
there you go.
Sorry, I didn't put it all together. So the problem with immigration at this point is that it's not being controlled. We've never really had a great immigration system. It's never been great.
It's never worked.
And the reason why is because this country, as bad as it is right now, it's still one of the best countries in the world. And so people are, climbing over each other to get here.
Right. That's why they flock. I mean, if and I told you this before, I was like, if you look at some of the border encounters when they're coming across and being processed, and you see the Texas National Guard, their military uniforms, dealing with them and with CBP, there are some people that are not typically Mexican by their ethnicity. They're a little bit, darker complexion, that are coming from Haiti and other countries to try to, get through our immigration gaps that we're experiencing right now, or trying to exploit it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know this Title 42, if we could. I'm going to try to read it, although my brain has been malfunctioning today. All right, so let's see. Despite supporting the end of other pandemic-related restrictions, Republicans have forcefully denounced the decision to end Title 42. Some centrist Democrats have also criticized the move, saying that the administration is not prepared for a potentially unprecedented spike in migrant apprehensions along the southern border after Title 42 is lifted.
And that's what Mayorkas was saying off the record. He was like, guys, if we pull this could get sideways really fast, and it's already sideways now.
So what are they doing right now with the people that they interact with that are illegal immigrants at the border? What is what's happening right now?
It looks like they're overwhelmed as the government deals with things, and it appears is that so many people, and most of them are what we refer to as MAMs, military age males.
Yeah.
They come across, they're unfettered. We don't have access to the criminal databases at Interpol or Mexican State Police, the federales.
And they could be from a country that has no background.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was just saying, they could be from Costa Rica, the Dominican Republic.
Haiti.
Yeah, exactly. And
there's nothing there.
We have nothing.
You're not going to know.
And now we're just shuttling them off into the dark in the twilight hours of the night into Massachusetts, into San Francisco.
Into D.C.
Right, and well, that's Greg Abbott, and they have to agree to go, and they're like, I'll go to D.C. Fuck yeah.
Why do they have to agree to go, but they don't have to agree to go to like Tennessee?
It's got to do with weird laws, man.
It's the Fed forcing it versus Texas forcing it.
Of course it is.
So
Absolutely.
That's essentially, they have to agree to it if the state is doing it, but they don't have to agree to it if the Fed is doing it.
Which I mean,
fuck the Fed, dude.
Yeah, and if we break it down, what's the 10th Amendment? All powers not dictated to the federal government are hereby given to the states and the people. So,
see, I like to shorten that as states' rights, bitch.
Yeah, gotcha.
States' rights.
I'm not a big fan of Greg Abbott.
No,
but,
I think he's a shill.
Yeah,
he's better than Dan Crenshaw, but not much better.
Don't get me going.
We're not going to talk about Dan Crenshaw tonight.
But in a nutshell, I mean, immigration right now is unfettered and out of control, and the Texas government and their National Guard are doing the best they can. And unfortunately, it looks like a Texas National Guardman lost his or her life in the Rio Grande trying to. I don't have the whole story.
Was he trying to kayak?
Well, yeah, he was trying to help, and it looks like he succumbed to drowning.
Oh, shit, dude.
So here's the kicker, though, is they were dredging and looking for him through the recovery process.
And what did they find?
They found another person, which looks like an immigrant trying to come across. They haven't found that person yet. This is the craziness of the southern border right now.
Now, and everyone I say everyone that I talk to remembers, but during the heat of this, when they had the camps, they had
under the bridges.
Yeah, but no, they also had these camps that were expanding on all this undeveloped land, and it was actually starting to grow to the point where it was adjacent to regular neighborhoods, and they were living next to what looked like internment camps, but they were full of illegal immigrants that were detained there. This is where they were busing them out of.
Well, I want to stop you there. Democrats from the 1940s are huge fans of those type of camps.
I know. And they also like taking businesses from Japanese folks. So,
I mean, we're not doing good. And the projection is once 42 is lifted, I mean, even Mayorkas, who is in the camp of Biden and was appointed by him, is saying this is going to get to a point of no return.
It's already super bad. And so what I was getting to is, like, you have those big camps, and then you also have the people under the bridges, right?
Yeah.
And then it was so commonplace that they would allow these people to come and go, whereas in the past they would apprehend these people or scare them off.
Well, it was a return to Mexico policy, and that's not happening anymore.
But this was totally different. There was a point where the people that were under the bridge, they would go, cross a little ravine, go back into Mexico, get food, and then come back with food. Like, there was no border. There is no border. There's nothing.
It's a 30-meter river that you can just wade across.
Yeah, but you got to be careful because you might fall off the back of the wagon
or get whipped by a CBP officer, and that was thrown out of court this week.
Oh, well, yeah, because it was his reins.
It was his reins. He wasn't whipping anyone. That's how you steer a horse, you morons.
Did you not get my Oregon Trail joke?
Oh, what'd you say?
I said they might fall out of the back of the wagon when they were trying to
broke his arm.
When they were trying to forge the river. They could only carry 400 pounds of meat, and in this food shortage, that's a big deal.
Only kids that grew up in the early 90s know about Oregon Trail.
Freaking love Oregon Trail.
The only best part was hunting.
Yeah, but you could only carry 400 pounds.
That's right.
I would spend the whole game hunting.
Just space bar.
Kill that buffalo, bro. Anyway, how does everyone feel about CBDC? Hey,
before we get going, once again, we always get ahead. We're always energized about what we're about to do and how we get this information out to everyone. Hey, like, comment, and subscribe. We actually encourage the dissent or patronage. We want to hear what everyone has to say. I know we're fledgling and we're getting into it, but we want to hear what everyone's got to say about what we're doing here on Semper Phallus, because we're really tired of everyone getting dicked at the end of the day. So, like, comment, subscribe, share, ring the notification bell.
Yeah, it's important to us, obviously, but really that was bad.
Whoa.
what we're trying to do here is we're trying to start engaging you guys more on the comments, and it was harder to do for the first few episodes, but now we're getting to the point where we actually have a decent amount of people that view. It's nothing crazy. We're not competing with anyone for top spot yet.
We're not Steven Crowder yet.
But still, I want to interact with you guys, and I want to, like, if you have something to add on a topic or a topic of its own that you want us to talk about, throw it at us. We might run with it because we just kind of wing it half the time.
And we'd love to hear from you.
But anyway, tell me what you know about CBDC.
It's not weed.
It's not CBD, that's for sure. CBDC is the central bank digital currency, and it is the fun way that your entire world gets digitized. And essentially, they turn the American currency into a crypto, if you will. Although it wouldn't actually be a crypto, because I don't think it would be stored on a standard. I don't think it would be blockchain technology, or it might be slightly, but it's going to be more like a stable coin.
Well, they talked about the wallets in Canada when Trudeau, with the protest, he was able to use his emergency powers and go after wallets, and the wallets were like, "Go pound sand, dude. We're not giving up anything."
Oh my God! If you remember, I can't remember the name of the wallet.
Yeah, exactly.
But they were like, you need to the Canadian government said to them, you need to release the names of the people, the quantity of funds that were transacted and who they were transacting with. And literally the company comes back and goes,
we don't do that.
We don't do that. We can't provide that. And we won't provide that. And that's by design. Because we don't even know that. That's the whole point. It's essentially like end-to-end encryption.
They literally said, hey, we planned on you shitheads doing this at one point.
The problem is like, although digital currencies and although cryptos do have their place, they are not the most private currency there is hard currency in your hand. People can't spy on you, can't see what you're doing. That's why it goes both ways. It's great for people that want to maintain their privacy, but it's also cash is king in really corrupt places. So, like, I'm sure the Biden's got a lot of cash on hand. Like the whole family does, I bet.
Hunter's been busy. Yeah. So has Robert.
Yeah. Or James.
Is it James?
His brother is Joe's brother is James, I think, or Jim. Jim Bob.
Is it bad to say that Bo's the best Biden?
Yeah. Well, he checked out early because he couldn't stand the rest of the family. And then his brother banged his wife. It's weird.
Jeez.
Shitty brother.
Shit, bro.
All right, so we got on CBDC, the central bank digital currency, mostly just to say that this crap is coming. They are trying to put you into a digital system. And with that comes the social credit system, the credit score, the digital ID, essentially wrapping it all up on this convenient little app on your phone.
Which is, China's been doing it for 2 years now.
Oh, yeah. Everyone in China has to have a phone. Yeah. But it seems convenient, and they're going to sell it as convenience, but that shit is nothing but tracking and oppression.
Tyranny.
It's tyranny in your pocket under the guise of convenience.
I think people were saying for a long time that the mark of the beast, the injected RFID under the skin, why would they have to do that? We all carry smartphones around with us.
Yeah, and just the fact that they do still talk about it just shows you how inept they are, because they already have the control feature.
Yeah, exactly.
Right here. They got it right here. They don't need to try to sell you on an RFID chip under the skin. And anyone who thinks we sound conspiratorial even bringing up that thing,
put the tin hat on.
It's a real thing. And if you don't believe me, look it up.
Look at China right now with the lockdowns in Shanghai. And I mean, Shanghai is a small aspect of it, but most of China is on complete lockdown, and they're followed by their phone. And if you come out, you're gonna be attacked by, what do we got?
No, I'm just laughing because
the Bo Biden joke.
Yeah, hardcore Bo Biden jokes.
Yeah, we're brutal here.
Well, what,
No F's given.
Yeah, it's his fault. But I think that the RFID chips, I think the social credit system, I think the digital currency, all this stuff is just, as we allow it to be implemented, if you fall for it and you allow them to eliminate hard currency, you're just asking just to be oppressed. You're just begging them to put the collar around your neck, and you're just going to say, thank you, Daddy.
But that's, Alex, is the convenience worth the oppression at this point for a lot of people? The convenience of having these devices worth the oppression?
When you say for a lot of people, I think the answer is yes.
Yeah, I do too.
I think a lot of people want to be bound and
I don't think they care.
Told what to do.
It's not even that they want. I don't think they care at this point.
Yeah. But they won't care until they run out of food and they can't buy it anymore because they disagreed with something.
If you and me, we speak out all the time about what's happening and the social credit system. If that happens, you and me are going to be squared up and put against it. So we're not going to be able to buy meat for the next 4 weeks, and that's not a good thing. If they have those controls, you know what I mean? How do we prevent that from happening? Is the biggest issue. The CBDC is going to turn into the next Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve has screwed us over the last 100 years.
Oh, time out.
Time out.
It is the Federal Reserve.
Right, and that's what it'll be.
It's not going to change. All they're going to do is reset the clock.
Yes, thank you.
But here's what they're going to do.
Thank you.
They're not going to reset your fucking debt.
No, theirs.
It's all of a sudden all the all the investment firms, all the big banks that have over-leveraged themselves to the point where they have trillions and trillions of dollars in notional derivative losses on that they're sitting aside next to their assets, which account for like $1 billion. Like, these people are so underwater that the fact that we call them financial experts is a fucking joke.
Is a fallacy.
Because there is nothing about them that the way that they handle money, nothing about that says expert. They are bad at it. And the only reason they don't care is because they go to the people that are in charge of the printing press and they say, I need more money. And they're like, brrr, money printer. And they just turn that shit on. When they start this new Fed coin, this CBDC, assuming that they cancel out the original dollar, they're not going to forgive your debt.
No.
Your debt will still screw you over.
You still got to pay your car. You still got to pay your rent and your student loans. You've got to do all that.
Exactly. But the big money that's upside down to the tune of trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars.
Almost hundreds of trillions.
They are upside down to the tune of more money than exists in the world.
What do they call that?
How does that make sense?
Unassured liabilities, where we're over 100 trillion.
Yeah. So the big companies, the big banks, they are upside down to the tune of well over the amount of money that exists in the world, because they played essentially like options. They're playing derivatives, and then they're using collateral to play again, and they're losing money, and then they're rehypothecating, and so they're using shares and things that they don't even have anymore, and they're using those to bet on more things. It's literally, if you could find a way to screw up a system, they're going to do it. I mean, there's nothing. So there's nothing they wouldn't do to screw you out of your money while they know that they're, quote, too big to fail.
Oh, here we go.
Which is theirs.
There we go again.
Too big to fail is their thing. So I guess I'm gonna leave this here, right? Because I don't know how much more I can say about this with it, because I'm pretty sure I already screwed us over by swearing. I hate the Federal Reserve. I hate the way the government manages money. I hate that we are sitting here as Americans and pretending that the Fed Reserve is run by our government, and the Federal Reserve is not.
I know we've talked about this, but the Federal Reserve in and of itself, it sounds like it's a government entity that controls the monetary value of our currency. No, they're a private bank.
Yep.
Under the name of Federal Reserve.
Yep. And then if you look at the markets, right? They go through and they answer to the Fed Reserve, and they go to the Fed Reserve for money and respite and things like that. Now, these are the same people, though, in the market. They answer to like the SEC and the NSCC and the DTC and the DTCC and all the different acronyms you can throw at it. But if you look at the boards of those government type or para-government organizations that are supposed to manage the financial industry, a lot of the same people that are on the boards of those are also executives for the corrupt companies that are destroying our fiscal policy and our fiscal environment, I guess, if I could find a way to say it right.
That's a good way to.
They're literally, the people that are destroying it are the same people meant to regulate it. So good luck.
Yeah, right. They're in control.
Good luck. So I guess, you know what? Let's bring some good news, right?
Yeah. Gonzalo Lira.
Let me pull him up here.
Man, we talked about it last week, but nobody heard it.
All right. Let me pull him up. Nope, don't you play yet. Why do you do that shit?
We're not ready.
All right, Gonzalo Lira. He showed up on Alex Christopher. I don't know what this guy's name is.
Do you want to give a quick synopsis of Gonzalo Lira?
All right, so before I bring him up on the screen, so Gonzalo Lira is a American citizen and Chilean citizen.
Yep.
He's been known for a couple of different things, for being like a life coach. He was actually at one point a financial writer, like writing for, well-known financial magazines. And then lately,
the Daily Beast.
So he moved to Ukraine a few years ago, before the conflict started, and he's been reporting, kind of giving an alternate opinion as far as what's going on in Ukraine. He's been very critical of Zelensky and very critical of the militia, and critical of the propaganda that has been just running rampant. And so he's been doing his part and trying to give the view of people that are actually living in there, because he lived in Kharkiv. At the very beginning of the conflict, he was in Kiev, and then he moved over to Kharkiv, and he's been reporting on it. The Daily Beast dimed this guy out, and
wanted him dead.
And when I say they dimed him out, I mean they reached out to the Ukrainian government in
SBU,
Ukraine
right?
and the SBU, asking if they knew about this guy, and essentially said that we're trying to locate him. We believe he's in Kharkiv, and put him on the radar. Now, mind you, and at the same time letting them know that this guy is speaking out against them. So now they know they have someone who has reach on the internet that disagrees with their propaganda. So that's a no-no. You can't have that. And if he wasn't on their radar, now he is. And, oh yeah, we think he's in Kharkiv. Great. Thanks, Daily Beast. I guess we can all just say we're lucky, but not so much us, but Gonzalo Lira is lucky, because this is him. He has been missing for a week, and he resurfaced today.
So before you play this, Gonzalo Lira is a Dartmouth-educated person, and he decided to go to Ukraine to follow what was going on in the Donbass region, and then he continued to follow and report on what is going on in the unreported regions. And some people didn't like that, especially the Daily Beast, so they put him out for almost a warrant hit.
Yep. Now, mind you, all right, so just for the sake of giving credit where it's due, the YouTube video I'm going to pull up is on Mr. Obvious's channel. And if you don't know who Mr. Obvious is, I would say we're off right now. But he puts out a lot of information. I would say Mr. Obvious is pretty based.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not 100%.
I think it's a fair assumption.
But let's pull up Gonzalo Lira.
This is today, right? The 22nd of April?
This is today.
And he was missing April 15th.
Yeah, he's been missing for a week, essentially.
By the SBU.
What is it? Friday, April 20th. Friday already. Yeah, a week. April 22nd, 2022. I just want to say that I'm fine physically. I'm a little rattled. I was picked up by the SBU on Friday, April 15th at a little after 1 p.m. local time.
Now that was so Friday the 15th is when we knew he dropped off the radar. When we attempted to film this on Monday
and bring attention to him.
This is what we were talking about. He had been missing for at least 3 days at the time, and this guy had been posting multiple times per day. So
and he had a drop.
Different.
He had a drop dead time. So if you don't hear him from 12 hours, shit's gone south.
So let's see what he says.
I don't have my computer, and I don't have my phone, my cell phone, or access to my email accounts. But I'm still in Kharkov, and for the time being, I cannot leave. The authority here has told me that I cannot leave the city, and
Well, my friends,
All right, I don't care what that guy says.
Yeah.
So Gonzalo Lira is alive. He seems to be doing well. He's not saying much, and I think that's on purpose.
There's people with guns in front of him.
But what he did say is that he cannot leave. Not that I think he was going to, but I'm sure that, a guy that goes to an area like this and it seems to be a very independent individual probably doesn't like the fact that he's now essentially being babysat.
At gunpoint.
At gunpoint.
Yeah. At AK-74 point.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
but the good news, the good news is that we reported it a week ago and we failed to have our audio, but he is still alive. He's not really reporting, but he's still there, so we know he's alive.
Bottles don't make noise when you open them? Wait.
That was you.
It didn't make noise? I don't know. I was away from the mic. It's fine. I like that you keep commenting on random dumb things that we're doing.
Thanks, Kevin.
I appreciate it, man.
Tell your friends. Like, comment, and subscribe. Ring that bell.
You're the best, Kev. You're the best.
So Gonzo's alive. That's a good thing. We were worried about him last week.
Yeah.
We weren't able to get the show out because we failed to record audio because of the update. Gonzo's alive. We're good. Everybody's good. Gonzo's going to keep reporting for what it's worth. But as we move on from Gonzo, we're going to touch into the establishment political war that's happening right now. And that has to do with Madison Cawthorn, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Donald Trump. There is a lot going on right now. What do you think, Alex?
So I think right now what we're seeing is, so what we said at the beginning of the video is it's the establishment versus the populace, right? Whether or not you like Marjorie Taylor Greene, that doesn't matter. I don't care. I don't care if you like her or not. I don't even vote for her. She's not in my district. She's not in my state.
Down in Georgia.
but she has the support of her constituents. The people in Georgia seem to love her, and I think that the establishment knows that they cannot beat her through traditional election process. So
the defamation campaign begins.
So what do? They try to discredit her. They try to embroil her in legal battles so that she is tied up in those legal battles and is unable to run for office again. And they're essentially trying to get her to wave the white flag and quit.
And it's with her own party, isn't it? Under oath?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
No, Hawthorne or Cawthorne. Anyway, so hold on. Marjorie Taylor Greene, they're trying to get her on inciting the January 6th, quote, insurrection.
Insurrection, yeah.
Which is funny that they're still going this way when the FBI has since already said that there was no insurrection. So if there is no insurrection, how is there still people going to proceedings in their part in the insurrection? If there's no insurrection, there can't be someone having a part in an insurrection.
If that's what the FBI said.
That's what those alphabet boys said.
The fat boys.
The boys.
Them boys.
Them boys. So that's one thing, right?
If it's not an insurrection, then what the fuck is it?
Well, they're doing the same thing with Trump. So you got Marjorie Taylor Greene and Trump, and both of these people.
And we are not Trump supporters.
No,
let's speak clearly here.
But what you're watching them. They're so fearful of having to go up against them head to head in an election that they're trying to get them removed from the competition. They're essentially. This is the only way they can win. It doesn't matter any means necessary, right? That's what they're going for.
Correct.
It doesn't matter what they have to do as long as they don't have to run against him. So if this doesn't work, you better believe they're going to be a COVID spike so close to the election, and we're going to have to do mail-in ballots again. You better believe it.
We're just ballot harvest the shit out of this motherfucker.
So I want to look up.
Ballot harvesting.
Tell me your thoughts on January 6th real quick while I'm looking up.
I mean, we talked about it last week, but nobody heard it. Alex Jones was super clear. He witnessed that there were feds implanted in the group marching towards it. And Ray Epps, right? That's the name?
Yeah, Ray Epps.
Ray Epps.
Are we even allowed to say that?
Nah, we'll probably get demonetized for that. But whatever. Ray Epps was a guy who was 6'7", and all you would think of as Trump supporter, pushing people to the forward lines to push through and do everything. We don't know what the hell happened. And Alex Jones, who's being decimated in a lawsuit right now, but that's opposite of what we're talking about. He said, "Don't do it. There's feds in here. They're doing it." We know that was true. We 100% know that was true. People that went into the Capitol were met by Capitol police officers, said, "Go ahead, just don't make a mess of things. We'd really appreciate it if we don't have to sweep up everything." And do they still have the guy in the buffalo hat in prison?
I'm not sure.
I don't know either. And and the only person that suffered really any consequence was Ashley Babbitt, who took a round to the chest.
To the neck.
To the neck by a guy who had no business even having a gun after he had lost it in a bathroom months before. And Ashley Babbitt was surrounded. You can see the video. She was surrounded by Capitol police officers in full tactical gear. We're talking craniums. We're talking, M16s and body armor. And she was just crawling through a window that was broken. And they decided to shoot her in the neck. I don't know how that's a continuum of force to meet lethal force. I don't understand that.
All right. Hey, so this is one I wanted to bring up. So this is on, what is this, NBC News. Trump back House candidate removed from ballot by Tennessee Republicans. Now this guy,
oh boy,
or girl, Morgan Ortagus, is a Republican and has been forever. And I don't care if you like Republicans or not. I think people register as Republicans because they don't have a choice. If you try to register as a Libertarian, you're not going to get elected. It just doesn't. There's not enough.
Well, that's the duopoly right there.
Yeah, there's not enough attention on Libertarian or Green Party or anything
Tea Party
else.
Or the Tea Party's dead now.
They don't have the momentum. So you have a lot of populist movement, a lot of populist candidates.
But
Alex,
what does that create from left to right? Huge pendulum slings in the political spectrum, right? You're going to go hard left, which is where we are now, and this guy's going to choke and everything. We're going to go swing hard to the right, and it's not a good thing.
Yeah. So the Tennessee Republican Party voted Tuesday to remove former State Department spokesperson Morgan Ortagus
yep.
and 2 other people from the August primary ballot in the state's 5th congressional district.
Jesus Christ.
The vote marked the culmination of months of effort by both GOP legislators and activists to boot Ortagus because she had only recently moved to the state. She was endorsed by former President Trump. Who is this saying this? Quote, I am deeply disappointed in the SEC's decision, Ortega said in a statement referring to the party's state executive committee. I am a bona fide Republican by their standards and frankly by any metric. I'm further disappointed that the party insiders at the Tennessee Republican Party do not seem to share my commitment to President Trump's America First policies. So essentially, she is...
Not from Tennessee?
She lives there. She meets all. She already met the criteria. That's the weird thing.
Hey, look at Jean Shaheen, right? In New Hampshire, in our state. She's from Missouri.
The Show Me State.
Yeah, I'll show you. But she's
I'll
from.
show you something.
Yeah, I'll show you something. It might not be big or little, but you decide. But Jean Shaheen's not from New Hampshire. She doesn't have New Hampshire values, but she ended up coming in the political wins and winning a gubernatorial governorship, and now she's our senator.
Hold on,
and she's not New Hampshire.
Shannon, I'm not reading that fast, man. I promise you.
Sorry, brother.
I'm not a fast reader. I'm trying not to make mistakes because typically when I read out loud, I feel like I'm a second grader trying to read at like the 10th grade level, like doop doop doop.
So you're saying you were a Marine?
Yeah. So is he. So is he. He's like, God damn, dumb
Can
dog.
I just say,
Anyway, so yeah, so now they're essentially, it's even happening inside of the GOP.
Oh yeah.
This isn't just something happening from the extreme left. The GOP, the establishment GOP, is so threatened by the populist side that they are going to remove these people so they can't even be on the ballot. Because they can't beat them by traditional means, so they have to remove them from the competition.
So ask yourself, what is the mainstream GOP afraid of with conservative values and everything that they don't want these people to move forward with the election? What are you going to put forward? What are you going to put forward?
And that's the thing. So like Trump had there were a lot of things not to like about him.
Oh yeah.
But as far as his policies were concerned, he did a good job.
We were way better off.
And the things that he was doing and the policies he was implementing were having a positive effect on our country, on our economy. We weren't going to new wars. He established. So if any president should have ever been given the Nobel Peace Prize, it should have been Trump. He didn't start any new wars, and we had 9 different peace agreements in the Middle East. They were all historic.
And he implemented gun control in the United States.
Yeah. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. He did.
Fucking did.
But you know what? You know who got a peace prize? Oh, Obama when he was elected. And what had he done by that point?
He was elected.
He hadn't done anything.
Nothing.
And I don't have a problem with Obama getting a peace prize, but assuming that he had done something to warrant that.
The earnest of it, right?
Yeah. So I guess all I'm saying is I'm glad his show got canceled. Fuck you.
Yeah, Spotify, you did right.
Yeah.
More Joe Rogans. And if you like Semper Phallus, let us know. Reach out, contact us.
Yeah. I mean, we got
a ways to go.
We're not the most tech savvy, so like trying to get the different protocols and RSS feeds and stupid shit. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like gibberish. It's like whatever.
But the big thing that's going to affect everybody, it doesn't matter if you're left, right, middle, or centrist, is these food shortages coming up. These things are going to be really painful, and it has to do with agrarian, it has to do with supply, it has to do with trucking, and people aren't ready for that.
So when it comes to the food shortage, we've already talked about in past shows, we talked about the logistic nightmare that we're having, where they're not allowing truckers at the ports, where there's a shortage of truckers. Although I've talked to truckers and I've heard that that's not even true, but they're just not allowing the truckers to operate.
Correct.
So the ports aren't allowing the truckers in. They're not allowing the boats or the ships to port. And then on top of that, we've got whether you're looking at Ukraine or Russia, they produce a lot of wheat and a lot of fertilizer and a lot of urea. All of those are used in the food industry.
And DFF. Diesel gas.
Yes, because the urea is used in DEF fluids. So, like, if you're trying to operate a mechanized farm, like let's say you have a modern farm, you can't afford gas right now. Mm-mm. You can't afford DEF fluid right now. You can't afford fertilizer right now. You're just shit. You're out of luck, dude.
Yeah,
like you're sorry.
Just bend over and spread them because we're gonna spit on it.
But now we have a new update, and it's happening all over the country and all over the world. All over the world, being you're seeing food warehouses and processors in like Ukraine and Russia being exploded.
In here, our local area.
Yeah, and then also here in the United States, and not just in the overall United States, in New Hampshire.
In New Hampshire.
Like, I mean, you look everywhere. So right now on the screen, there's an article I pulled up. It's the General Mills plant in Georgia. They're saying it was a plane crashed into it.
Why would a plane crash into a production mill?
I don't know.
Unless it was intentional.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I know some bad pilots.
Just randomly. There's no landing zone around that area.
I know a mechanic who's a pilot, and
he was like, I would crash.
He has restored his own Boeing Stearman twice, and he's crashed it twice.
Jesus Christ.
So don't ever fly on that man's Stearman. I mean, it looks great. God. The thing should be in a museum, but the fact that it looks good is because it's pretty much brand new. He's had to rebuild it twice in the last 2 decades. So you have this one. They've crashed into the General Mills plant in Georgia, right? It's like blah blah blah. The pilots died. No one was in the plant at the time. The plant's on fire. I don't know how much of the food or storage, whatever. I don't know how much is ruined.
Production capacity.
Who knows how much was actually damaged? But you just need to take note of this. And then we go over here, and this is at the Free Thought Project. It says multiple large food processing and distribution plants in the U.S. have recently exploded or burned down. And then they go on, and I mean, there's just so many. But here's another one. Crews struggle to keep this raging fire at a Taylor Farms.
Salinas is California.
Yeah, so this one's in California.
It's a big food processing area, Salinas, with their seafood and livestock.
Yeah. So, I mean, as I go down this, so they talk about the one that happened in California, then they talk about this one that happened in Texas, and they talk about this one that happened in Oregon. Here's a picture of the one in Oregon. It's happening everywhere, and there's no rhyme or reason, and a lot of it... What's this one? Let me pull this up. So... Meat
Pockets.
company building fire in El Paso.
No Hot Pockets.
Cattle rescued after fire destroys meat market.
Mm-hmm.
Tyson Poultry Meal Plant in Alabama has a large fire. Wisconsin River Meats says portion of their plant total loss after fire. Fire destroys Deli Star Meat Plant in St. Clair County. It's everywhere.
Even in New Hampshire, East Conway, New Hampshire, we had a lamb and beef.
Was that a plane crash?
No, that was just a massive fire that destroyed the whole plant.
So
in East Conway, New Hampshire.
You could, if you only knew about a few of them, right? If you only knew about 3, you could say it's just a coincidence.
Yeah, I think we're leaning towards like green terrorism. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
I mean, like whether it be what's his name? Bill Gates bought a lot of farmland.
Sure did.
I wonder if
all of it.
I wonder if any of his farms or plants have caught fire and burned down. Are you getting what I'm kind of alluding to?
Boy, that would be terrible, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'm saying that I doubt his did.
But speaking of New Hampshire, we had the East Conway meat processing facility way up north, and it just burned to the ground all of a sudden. I think Alice is going to try to pull it up right now. East Conway Beef and Pork. Yeah, it just burned to the ground. The firefighters did whatever they could, but it was a complete total loss. And
it looks like a loss. Look at it, dude. There's nothing left. There's a fucking excavator there.
And there's nobody to process those meat and poultry products. So where does the rest of that effort?
They smoked the meat too long.
Yeah, oh, Jesus. But at the end of the day, we're going to look at what should have been processed in our area now has to be processed in another area, and that creates a huge logistics problem, especially out west where we see most of the
forest fires.
Well, forest fires, but we also see like most of the green movement and the attacks on infrastructure. They also attack the transformer systems and everything with high caliber rifles. Those people want to see this, and this is where we're headed.
Yeah.
And those transformers, those large transformers at large transformer stations, when they're destroyed, it takes months and months and months to replace those. And this is where we're headed, folks. This is not going to be a nice thing.
Yeah,
if it continues.
So if you haven't already, we've talked about it before. You should be getting yourself prepared. Whether if you're a good fisherman, like some of the people in the comments, you're all set. You're not going to have to worry about food. But just know that when people run out of food, you'll have competition.
And you need guns for that.
No third party anywhere by design. Hey, can you elaborate on that? I want to know what you mean.
Kevin, we want to hear what you mean by no third party by design.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean, but I want to be sure before I go on a tangent because it could be total garbage coming out of my mouth. But
that's not possible here at Semper Phallus.
Well, sometimes it's just all hot garbage. Just
and like we said, all the topics we talked about: establishment of the political war, food shortages, domestic spending, everything. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know where we're on and we're off, and we can engage in you and debate.
Yeah,
we're not one-sided here.
Shannon's over there saying he's barbecue. Are you saying that they had a barbecue at the meat plant, or are you saying you're going to have a barbecue?
That's terrible.
Because I think it looks like they smoked it too long at the meat plant and they lost the whole thing.
Took it too far.
But
got over 220. I get it.
So I haven't. I don't know what the delay is. So I don't know if you responded yet, Kevin. But the no third party anywhere by design. I do think that is the intent. I think that's why you see people like Bill Gates buying up the majority of the farmland. The meat. He was talking about the meat plant when he talked about the barbecue. But I do think that they're buying.
In Conway?
Yeah. Bill Gates is buying up all the farmland.
It's slowly. Not just him. The Chinese government's buying up farmland and agricultural property way more than Bill Gates.
Dude, did you know that there are countries where you can't buy land there? You can't buy anything unless you live there, unless you're a citizen.
That's correct. And that's how it should be in the United States, but it's not.
Why are we not adhering to that here? Is it because we have shoveled out all of our debt to these countries?
It's our debt.
Because our entire economy is held up by debt. We're backed by debt.
It's what they established in 1812. Our debt-based economy.
It's super awesome. I love it. I love the fact that we.
The more debt, the better we are.
Yeah. Well, did you know that we are the debt?
Well, that's why we have Social Security numbers, Alex.
So let's go down the rabbit hole.
Oh, boy.
Let's go down the rabbit hole.
The important thing is that we have Social Security numbers to pay off the debt of the elites who choose to live our lives.
So I was reading about claiming your fictitious identity. Your identity, you as yourself, is essentially fictitious.
Mm-hmm.
But your real identity, I might have this reversed, but it doesn't matter. One's real, one's fake.
I don't think you're far off.
But one, and then your identity on paper that is held by the bond, which is your birth certificate, is
You're
essentially is being weighed as collateral against the country's debt to the borrowers.
It's weighed against collateral of your production.
Yeah.
So it's based on you being a productive citizen and producing income to be taxed against.
Yeah. Well, and the government sold us out a long time ago. Was it 1933, I think, when they started doing the birth certificates the way that they are? And that was essentially when they sold out the citizenry.
1914, when we started the Federal Reserve Act.
Okay. Well, that's when they sold out the financial industry.
Right, exactly.
But when they sold out our souls against their mistakes in the financial industry.
For just being born.
Yes. That was 1933, I believe. I don't remember who the president was. It doesn't matter. He's an asshole. But...
Hoover?
Yes, I think it was.
I think it was Hoover.
Yeah, he sucked.
The problem is...
Pun intended.
We're supposed to be free people in charge of our own destiny and everything, but we're not. And it's hard to even compete against the laws that have been placed in place to go against it. And if you do, what's the outcome? You need to pay it. Well, I don't want to. I don't feel like I need to pay that. Well, I'm going to put you in jail. Yeah. I don't want to go to jail. Well, if you resist, I'm going to kill you.
That's essential. Well, because our government has a monopoly on violence.
Right, and that's the ultimatum is the United States government has the monopoly on violence.
Yeah, like when they if our legislature creates a law that that violates the Constitution, they're going to violate your rights to uphold this law, and you will be treated with violence if you try to defend your constitutional rights. This is what you see when the ATF comes around and treats people like felonies for having a firearm.
A firearm that's too short but does the same fucking thing.
I shouldn't have to say anything other than firearm because it doesn't break it down into subcategories in the Constitution.
I'm going to break it down. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. End of story. End of story. End of story. It doesn't have to do with 1986 and the Hughes Amendment and all that stuff. We're literally free people. And if we live free, our obligation to each other is nonviolence.
Yeah.
If I don't hurt you, then I haven't committed a crime.
Yeah.
Now that's a whole another bag of worms to unpack when we go down the rabbit hole, but I think that's the basis of the generality of the United States Constitution. And then we go up back to Barack.
Or we can answer to people like this.
This faggot.
We can put. God damn it, dude.
We just got demonetized.
No, we might even get flagged for that. He meant bundle of sticks. That's what he meant.
It's a bundle of sticks that I can't understand.
So, but God forbid we let people like this guy rule us because we're just an experiment to him. And if you don't believe me, listen to his words.
And yet, despite the fact that we've now essentially clinically tested the vaccine on billions of people worldwide.
That's it. That's all I wanted to say.
That's it. We're done.
We tested it on billions of people worldwide.
And they were willing to be subjects to our experimentation.
They weren't. Well, the sheep were willing. A lot of people that are just not as strong-willed as myself. And I'm not saying I'm anything special, but there were a lot of people that didn't want it that got it. Whether it's because they wanted to go on a cruise.
Or a concert.
Yeah, or go to a concert. Or they wanted to keep their job.
Silly.
What's funny about all of this is for the people that wanted to go on cruises or go to a concert, that's a decision that you made. You weren't necessarily coerced because you didn't have to go to that. But for people that wanted to keep their jobs, you were coerced.
You had a choice to make.
Forced.
Right. Exactly. You had a choice to make.
Which means that violates the Nuremberg Code. I think line 1 of the Nuremberg Code.
No populace should be allowed to be...
Yeah, they have to be fully informed, and they can't be coerced. They can't be forced or coerced. So...
How far we fallen in 70 years?
Well, you know what? I'll pull up the Nuremberg Code real quick.
Man, you're dropping knowledge bombs right now, Alex.
No, the Nuremberg Code's not even long. It's actually very short, especially to get to the part where...
it's literally numbered, isn't it?
Yeah, so I'm going to pull
Voluntary
it up over here.
consent.
All right, so Nuremberg Code. All right, so let me read.
Do they have it on their screen?
Yeah, it's on their screen.
Oh, beautiful.
The great weight of the evidence before us to effect that certain types of medical experiments on human beings, when kept within reasonably well-defined bounds, conform to the ethics of the medical profession generally. The protagonists of the practice of human experimentation justify their views on the basis that such experiments yield results for the good of society that are unprocurable by other methods or means of study. All agree, however, that certain principles must be observed in order to satisfy moral, ethical, and legal concepts. All that's saying is that in order to experiment on humans,
they have to agree to it.
The following things must be satisfied. The first one, the very first one, the voluntary consent of the human subject is absolutely essential. This means that the person involved should have legal capacity to give consent. So they can't be retarded. They can't be a kid. They can't be forced because they have to have the capacity to give consent. Should be so situated as to be able to exercise free power of choice. You see that? You have to have free will in the scenario.
Yeah, you can't be an invalid.
Yep. And that's without the intervention of any element of force, fraud, deceit, duress, overreaching, or other ulterior form of constraint or coercion, and should have sufficient knowledge and comprehension of the elements of the subject matter involved as to enable him or her to make an understanding and enlightened decision. So essentially what that's saying is they can't force you using force, fraud, deceit, duress, coercion, and you have to be fully informed. This next line...
And aware.
When it says sufficient knowledge, you must have sufficient knowledge and be enlightened in your decision. That is saying that you must be fully informed as to what is being done to you.
Well, the key word is enlightened.
Mm-hmm.
You have to understand what's about to happen.
Yep.
And be on board. That's not the case. That's not the case with the COVID.
No. And so when it comes to the Nuremberg Code, line 1 of the Nuremberg Code says everything that's been happening to you, especially if you caved, should be illegal, and you should be allowed to sue.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care if they say that these companies are not held liable. The government is liable. Good luck winning.
Chase them.
But you should sue.
Beat down the door.
And if you know several people that were all forced into this and that caved, you should all get together and you should start a class action lawsuit, because the only way they learn is through losing money.
Yep.
Pain and suffering is the only way the government learns. It's the only way. And I'm not saying to attack anyone, because I'm trying not to lose my channel here. But you do you.
Hold them accountable.
Yeah. And I mean, there's more to this. Like, the experiment should be so conducted as to avoid unnecessary physical and mental suffering or injury. But most of these are more cut and dry. They make more sense, especially when you consider, like, the time that this was adapted was after World War II, whereas the Nazis were experimenting on human beings, trying to essentially make super soldiers and stuff. And all those scientists that were supposed to go to jail, Project Paperclip would say that they didn't. They became Americans working in our system.
But again, like, comment, subscribe. We want to hear what you have to say. We got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to unpack. The more interaction we get with our fans and everything we hear on comments and subscribing, the better off we'll be.
Yeah, I think tonight, we're going to end it right here. Mostly because we try to keep this around an hour, and we're at an hour right now. So for everyone that tuned in, thank you for tuning in. We loved having you here. Like, comment, subscribe. We got a lot of comments tonight. We love talking with you guys. And if you ask us questions and if you have things that you want to add, we will always interact with you. We're getting better at it every day. This is a big jump last time we recorded. Last time we recorded, we didn't even get audio. So we're still learning. But like, comment, subscribe, join us. We do this
every week.
At least once a week, sometimes twice, sometimes more. Typically, you'll find us on Mondays. We did a special episode today because we messed up on Monday.
We screwed up hard.
Bad. We almost left it on there, too, so you could see a whole video of us just talking, but no volume.
Yeah.
So, so if you don't want to get dicked, keep tuning in. Because at the very least, we're going to inform you of all the different things that are bothering us. And because we are like autistic savants when it comes to following politics and things that make us angry, we've got a lot to throw at you. So like, comment, subscribe. Tell us what you want to hear about. And we'll tell you how you're getting dicked.
Always. Semper Phallus. We'll see you next week, everybody.
Yeah, we're out of here.